Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
and I am Tom.
We are Team Binge. We are here to talk about HBO's Rooster, Season 1, Episode 3. This one was called White Whale. Tom, I believe White Whale was the name you danced under? Is that correct?
I should have.
It was also my nickname in high school, so it makes sense that we've come together here to talk about. Tom, I just want to say I find this show a delight. I think we've talked about, like, I don't know what the popularity is here. It feels more like an Apple TV show than an HBO show. I think maybe, and this is weird, I find it a delight. It's like a very funny sitcom. They did some things in this episode that I was surprised by, like bringing in a character and then almost killing a character, which I was, once again, surprised by, but I find this show delightful, and I'm interested to see if it's just on the wrong platform. Like, I don't think of HBO as like 30-minute sitcoms. I think of that as like a Hulu or a Apple TV or any one of those. And so I'm wondering if just the HBO subscriber, I don't know. I guess I don't know any of the numbers on whether or not this is popular, but I really enjoyed this episode. I watched it twice. I found myself laughing quite a bit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I was a little bit slow on like the pilot of kind of getting into it.
In
and getting
general,
the characters.
Tom. In general,
yeah.
you were slow. Yes, go ahead. The white whale. The white whale does not move fast, my friend. He moves slow.
Yes, I only hunt the blue ones. But like as I've gone on and like getting more comfortable with the characters and everything, and they're kind of rounding out a bit more. Like I agree, I think it's a very, very fun, entertaining show. I found myself laughing out loud quite a few times in this episode than I have in the past. Like I'll have little chuckles previously, but these had some really, really good, funny moments, like quick scene cuts and things like that, played for comedic effect that I enjoyed. But I'm with you, like even trying to reach out to folks on social media and getting people's like thoughts and opinions, it does seem like a lot of people are saying the exact same thing. Like it doesn't feel like an HBO show, and like obviously people have HBO, like they've got access to this, but they may not know it exists or like are searching for these types of sitcom-y comedies. And I do think that might be hurting some of the audience a little bit. But I don't think it's been poorly received, or I think it does have solid numbers overall. It just does seem to be on a goofy platform.
Right. I have seen actual ads for it on different platforms, which is nice. And I do think, like, one thing they should push is, like, Steve Carrell in this character, it's very natural, and there's, like, some Michael Scott and some crazy stupid love in there. That I find delightful. So I'm very much enjoying it, as well as Dylan. I think she's lovely in this and very funny. So I'm enjoying this quite a bit. Let's dive into it, Tom, because I did feel like out of the three we've watched, this was one of the stronger episodes. And you can feel some stuff developing, and maybe they're telegraphing it a little bit more, but I don't mind that in terms of the hockey and the coach of it all. We'll see where that goes. But we open this episode with Greg watching hockey. And I'm assuming this is a cut of like his last night in Florida. Is that what this is?
I guess so. Yeah, because he doesn't have his house yet. He hasn't moved in. So yeah, this must be him prepping for
and
it.
This is his daughter's like, "What'd you do the last night?" And he's like, "Oh, I hung out with the cast of Cheers," which I found that whole bit funny. But he also watches hockey in a very unique way.
Yeah, he does like shooting pennies thing, and I was very confused by it. And he does it. They essentially open the episode and close the episode of him shooting pennies from across the room into a jar. And I guess this is some sort of Bill Lawrence reference to Cougar Town, another show that he was heavily involved in, because they had like a running gag in that show. Never seen it, don't know about it, but I did watch like a little internet quick video of people constantly throwing pennies into a jar, and it was like, I think Lou Diamond Phillips is involved somehow. I don't know, but so ultimately this whole shooting pennies thing is just a reference to Cougar Town.
Well, yeah, I also did not participate in Cougar Town other than the Cougar Town community crossover, which is a very delightful moment in the sitcom. And I believe Bill Lawrence has talked about it on podcasts regarding that crossover with Dan Harmon and him. But I did not understand that he's it's very impressive. And
I'd have pennies everywhere on the ground. There's no way I'm making that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess my other question to you would be, Tom, how often do you handle pennies? Like, when's the last time you touched a penny?
You can't get them anymore.
Right. It's been yeah. Let's talk about the economy, Tom. This is talking econ with Julian and Tom, our other podcast. We play it right after our podcast about Florida hockey. I enjoy like the Kate and Greg sit down in the beginning, and one of the things I only caught on the second episode is Katie says something to her dad Greg that she says like, "Hey, I just got out of mom's shadow." And the first time I watched it, what I thought she meant is the breakup of her parents, like she was kind of the stand-in for her dad. But what I actually realized she's talking about is at that school, her mom is like a celebrity and one of their, and so her coming in to teach, everyone like associates her with her mom. And so she had just kind of gotten her own, I guess, identity outside of her just being the daughter of the alumni, her mother. And so I thought that was interesting that is in play here, where she's like trying to find her own identity on campus. And now her dad, who is the author of these garbage beach reads, has just showed up. And so she's trying to figure out her way. So I don't think I quite realized like all the complexity of Katie, but I appreciate what they're trying to kind of figure out here. And all of this is done. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, because, like, the idea of, like, Greg coming in and trying to, like, save the day, he's not really thinking about, like, the shadow that was Katie's mother, and then now him coming in. Like, she can't really be her own if both of her parents are going, who are famous in their own right. We don't really know what her mother's situation is quite yet, but I'm sure we will.
Tom, I looked it up. She was a professional dodgeball player. So Ludlow is well known for its scholastic dodgeball team. So that's the shadow.
Part of the Average Joes?
Yes, part of the Average Joes. She throws wrenches at students. That's why all the students loved her. She would just go around campus throwing wrenches at them.
You dodge a wrench, you dodge a ball.
The best thing about this whole conversation is this corn nuts bit. Tom, where do you land on corn nuts?
I felt like when I was younger, I partaked in a good old corn nut every now and then. I feel like I've had them recently, and it's an irritating food to try to eat. But, I mean, we don't have to go too far into it because that's our other podcast, Talking Nuts with Julian and Tom.
Talking Nuts with Tom and Julian, where all we do is we sample different flavor of corn nuts and we tell the audience what we think. And the whole time we just chew on mic. Honestly, thinking about corn nuts makes my teeth hurt a little bit.
Exactly, same.
As I've gotten older and my teeth have softened, is that thing? I like every once in a while I'll accidentally chew on ice and I'll be like, oh, there goes another one. I had a teacher once who hated the smell of corn nuts and like would walk into class and be like, someone's eating corn nuts. He was like, Tom, have you ever seen Almost Heroes where
oh no.
Anyways, I won't do it right now, but I appreciated the corn nut gift basket. I will say dill flavor sounds dope. I love a dill pickle.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Talking Pickles with Julian and Tom, our other podcast.
3 podcasts covered already.
And you hate pickles, so every time you eat one, you're just like, Julian, you're going to be surprised by this one. I don't like it. And I'm like, oh, this flaming hot pickle by Cheeto is really good.
Listen, I don't like talking about all these things that I don't like. Let's talk about what I do like, which is whiskey.
Sure.
And they show this bottle of Jefferson's whiskey. Now, I'm assuming this is real. Have you had this before?
Yeah, no, it's a real brand. I have had it. I'll say only that I have had it. This felt like when the Mercedes show up in Jurassic World, the camera kind of lingered on the label for a little too long. But yeah, no, listen, I'm not particular. It's all good. I've had 3 this morning. I feel great. Have you had it before, Tom? I guess
I haven't. I haven't. It seemed like a bottle. I feel like I've seen at your home at some point.
Corn nuts, whiskey, and like Ludlow's logo is one of the worst logos I've ever seen. It literally looks like someone just printed Ludlow on a sweatshirt. But I guess they don't have a budget for the review. They don't have a budget for apparel as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair.
Once this conversation ends, we find out that... Did you realize that Greg was going to be in the house that Dylan's friend was supposed to be in? I don't know that I was... I don't know that I was ready that he took that job, and that becomes a plot point in this episode.
That was all new to me. Like, obviously, we knew that Dylan got her friend a job, but the fact that it was this exact, like... I want to call it poet laureate, but it's not that. What's this, writer in residence?
Writer in residence song. Yours sounds much fancier, but yes, writer in residence.
Yeah. So that was an interesting twist, but I like it as a showism because now you've got Greg and Dylan living right next to each other.
Sure. Which I think will add to the will they won't. I don't know if there's a will they won't they, or if they just did that for the first episode. I don't see them as romantic partners, but perhaps. But I do like their back and forth. I'll spend as much time with Dylan and Greg as possible. Speaking of people that don't want to spend time with each other, and quite frankly, I don't know that I do either, Sonny, Archie, and we find Sonny's roommate is Mo. And this actress, I've got nothing against her. If you close your eyes, it sounds like Ellen DeGeneres showed up and is like doing like Ellen DeGeneres stand-up about how terrible Archie is. This threw me off guard with how much I was like, is that? I was like, did Ellen DeGeneres come back to America and decide to act in this weird sitcom? Like, what's going on here?
She was a lot. She was, sure. I wouldn't say delightful, but she obviously doesn't love this situation. And I love that the way like Archie responds to this is continuing to use like big words like in lieu and behoove. And I'm not sure if he's doing it like purposeful or that's just who he is. But I love that she like calls him out for it.
Yeah, it's like the gentleman from Severance who, on his evaluation, was like, he uses too many big words, too loquacious, or whatever it is. I love that Mo is just like, just break up already. We know that this is going to end. Why don't you two? So I think it would be tough to crash into two people's apartment where one is actively rooting against you to break up. I'm interested to see where the hijinks go in this apartment, but... I enjoy it. I'm sure Mo will grow on me. She's doing an incredible job on those lat pull downs later on in the gym, which I'm excited to talk about. We go from there and we have... I love the moment where Dylan and Greg, when they meet, Dylan's like, hey, I need your help with something. And and the help she needs is to show up in Walt's office and like be like, I can't believe you let this guy take my friend's job. And Walt being like, if this is what you meant by help, I don't really appreciate it. The way he delivers that line was beautiful.
Yeah, it was all great. And then I think at a certain point where Greg mentions like, oh, I don't know what the review is. And then she's like, well, that's hurtful because we find out like that was her like printed magazine, right? Of like all the kids' poetry. And then his response like, okay, I take it back, but I don't know what it is.
I still don't know what it is. Yeah, and all of this is Walt pointing out like, hey, she's not mad about this. She's mad about me cutting the budget on the review, which... John C. McGinley is this Walt character. I love it. It's got some flavor of like Dr. Cox in there, but not as Dr. Cox in terms of how he pronounces things and how he says things. But I do enjoy John C. McGinley.
Just like quick dialogue, right? Like he'll just deliver it like all matter of fact, point by point, and it's very well delivered and very comedic.
Right. This leading to Walt being like, I have to show Greg his office, which Greg being like, I could have found this on my own. And we find, I don't understand, is the bit that like Walt wants him so close and that he's like invading Greg's space, that his office is connecting and he's going to continue to walk through it. Like, I didn't really, I appreciated this, the door slamming and Greg just watching things happen around him was great. But I'm interested to see where this dynamic goes.
Yeah, because it does feel like Walt's got like a bit of a man crush on Greg and just is like a fanboy or whatever it is.
His reasoning is because he's like, Greg's the only one that doesn't want anything from me, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I again, just like now Dylan and Greg live next to each other, Walt and Greg now work next to each other. It's just right for comedy.
Which puts Crystal right outside his door, and Crystal has got an eye on Greg. I appreciate
Crystal's an enigma. I don't get her.
She's great. Oh, that actress is doing a fabulous job. The stare down while slowly closing the door was beautiful. And then later on we'll touch on it, but at the meeting where Greg is describing falling into the student and Crystal,
you've been a bad boy.
He's like, I accidentally grabbed a hold of her. Crystal like makes the noise like she's into it, which is, as Greg puts later, I think off-putting, but just lovely. Okay, so the other storyline that's happening, and once again, I was confused at who Dean Riggs was. We get a little bit of more of him in this episode, and then we kill him, essentially. So I wonder if the actor was just very busy with other things, and they thought they had him, and then they had to remove him. I don't know. But I'm not delighted by how this all went down. And the things that we find out about Dean Riggs, we find out because Sonny is looking for an advisor. And I do appreciate that we're getting more of Sonny than like initially what we thought we were going to get. But she needs an advisor, and Dean Riggs is like on the treadmill, and he's like, listen, I have to say no, but for reasons I can't tell you because my attorney advised me against. And like the more little bits we get about Dean Riggs is apparently he has had some issues with his dealings with female students, which in itself is not funny, but the way the show plays it, is funny. So I'm allowed to laugh at it.
Yeah, he's been to the disciplinary board once or twice, I think.
Which is funny because now he's running them. So I guess you live long enough to see yourself as the head of the disciplinary board. You get disciplined enough and live long enough to see yourself become the head of the disciplinary board, as Christopher Nolan wrote in The Dark Knight. All right. So,
but to your point, like it's establishing or continuing to establish Riggs as kind of a jerk, and then it's just a means to put Dylan in this role, right? Because Riggs just took the stuff away from Dylan, and now Dylan has the authority to potentially bring it back, like bring back her review or her printed article or other stuff. So that'll be interesting to see how Dylan takes on her new role and responsibility.
Right, and we'll touch on it, but Walt being like, listen, you have to take the job and you can show me how to do like what I do with dignity and respect and like compassion to these people because you think I'm such a, axe cutting, budget cutting jerk. And so, I appreciate where we're putting Dylan. I enjoy Riggs. I think he's just like, I don't know, arrogantly creepy and funny. So, but he's now dead, or at least actively dying. I don't really know what's going on. We can talk about that later.
The other piece I'd like here too, though, is it does continue to establish Walt as like looking out for the students because he sees like Sonny trying to go to Dean Riggs as an advisor and realizes like this is the last person you want advising you.
Right.
And kind of tells her to pick somebody that you have a better connection with, which ultimately becomes him.
Yeah, one would argue in that conversation, you're like, oh, how about you? But we get it in the later on, which is an Archie and Sonny plot line. There is a quick cut here of Archie and Sonny talking, and we find out that Walt at some point gave Archie a dog, and him and the dog open mouth kiss, which
so gross.
I really enjoy Phil Dunster in this role. He's like he just seems to be having fun. He's like the arrogant professor where things aren't going right. I've developed more of a liking to Archie as we've gone on. Now, open kissing a dog is disgusting, but, it is what it is. At least we find out he's very affectionate with his students, with his dog, not with his soon-to-be ex-wife, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's definitely playing his role here, and I love Phil Dunster as an actor. Still not a huge Archie fan, but we'll see if he can make a turn.
Sure. Yeah, you're in the anti-Archie camp. I love Archie. I think he's a shining example of what husbands and boyfriends should be at the same time. That actually is a terrible thing to say. Speaking of terrible things to say, Greg shows up at Katie's house, and Katie is with her TA smoking.
Bringing smoking back, man. Like I feel like, is it this show or a couple other shows I watched recently where you got these main characters smoking and just, I guess it's cool again.
Listen, smoking's rad, Tom. I've always thought so. If the person that I am closest with wouldn't tell me it's gross and refuse my ability to do it, I would be smoking a cig right now. Here's what I want to say. I don't know if you catch it, but as Greg is like entering before he enters, she's like says something like, "Oh, ignore the like the ketchup stain or something on the couch." To her TA, and she also goes like, "I had a wild night. Have you ever watched Rick and Morty?" Which it's just funny to think of Katie spiraling. She's now smoking. She like spilled on the couch, and she did all of this while watching Rick and Morty, like binge watching it. I don't know. I thought that was great.
People do strange things when they watch Rick and Morty. It's understandable.
That's fair. That's fair. I think you're a Rick and Morty fan, right?
Yeah, Pickle Rick, baby.
Okay, which bringing up Dan Harmon again. Okay, so Greg shows up. He's looking for advice on. He also, as he enters the door, goes, I'm showing like boundaries and restraint by knocking before walking in, but he still just walks in. That probably describes their relationship in a nutshell. But he's over-prepared for his class. He's like got it dialed into the minute. And Katie's like, you need to relax. And we get a little foreshadowing here about he used to coach youth sports and he was a little too into it. So I think, once again, a little foreshadow.
I didn't even kind of put that together, but yeah, that this is definitely foreshadowing him replacing this drunk hockey coach at the end, right?
I believe so. I mean, maybe you and I just have Shorzy on the brain, but I'm hoping so.
Man, bring in Shorzy, that'd be pretty dope.
Oh, man, I would love it. I would love it if Jared Kelso, one of those still. Kelso's from Scrubs. Anyways, let's move on. Greg, what was this bit about? Oh, there's like a through line with shoes through this whole episode, which leads to him like falling down.
For him to slip. Yeah, like they have him wear these brand new like penny loafers or something like that, just so he can slip down this thing and be late for class, disheveled for class, have a bloody knee. I don't know.
Tom, I've gotten older, and I've certainly fallen more as I've gotten older, but I'm not falling in slippery shoes. Later on, he says something like, I haven't scuffed the bottoms enough. Have you ever purposely scuffed your shoes in order to get grip so you can run in your dress shoes up a hill? I've never done this. I always put nails through them so they get grip. And the first time I put nails, I put in the nails the wrong way, which ouchie, and then you got to put them the other way so you get grip. You know what I'm talking about.
If you put enough nails, it's not that bad. It's like laying on a bed of nails. It can be like soothing.
Cobblering with Tom and Julian, our other podcasts where we talk about our shoes and what we stab them with.
The Cobble Crew.
The Cobble Crew. Cobbling and pickling. No, that one wouldn't work. Anyways.
We'll workshop it.
In class, I'm enjoying Greg in class. I'm enjoying this group of students. I'm a big fan of Gerg. This is a great moment.
Permanent marker was so good too.
His permanent marker won't wipe off. And he's essentially just being like, he doesn't know how to teach a class, but it's him bringing up that he writes beach reads. And he names some people that inspired him, Tom, and who inspired our good friend Gerg.
Yes, Carl Hyacin, which we had mentioned on pod, so it was kind of fun to actually hear his name spoken during the show.
Sure.
And I like how you have like Tommy, the other kind of frat guy, reading Miami Allure, which obviously has this picture of Greg on the cover, and they make jokes about like how he had the rights to be able to say what was going to be on the cover too. But yeah, like clearly giving us the idea of what we'll probably get in the rest of the season is him kind of trying to turn into and become more of this Rooster character he's created.
Sure. And to your point about like, oh, I thought you like determined everything on your cover. That comes from Ronnie. She's like, oh, I read you had like authorization. He's like, did you, Ronnie? Did you?
She's great.
And then this all ending with him calling Ronnie his white whale. And then we get this hard cut, which, like, there's absolutely no way you go to a disciplinary board for calling someone a white whale. Like, even for people that don't read, that's a pretty, like, normal term. But I love the line in this disciplinary board where Greg goes, I was referencing a well-known book I haven't read. Just the way he says I haven't read. It's just so good. Moby Dick. He hasn't read it, but he's a writer. I thought this was great.
I thought it was Pinocchio.
No, not Pinocchio, Tom. That was the other name you danced under, was Pinocchio. And you were like, don't let me tell a lie, ladies. That was your opening line.
But I like how he's in this disciplinary board meeting and like just saying all the wrong things and he can't help himself. And like even we get later, he's wearing that hockey jersey of something that's like not timely and inappropriate, but he just doesn't recognize it until I guess he says things out loud, which is funny.
So let's hop to that. So we have that scene with Dylan and him and she's like, why can you not stop offending people? Like Gerg, or Greg, as we like to call him, like clearly isn't trying to offend people. He just like says some things. And so I like to think that it does, like the words don't necessarily matter. It's the intent of the words, or at least we should. So obviously for a show like this, the comedy is in him saying these things. But also if you spent more than 2 minutes with Greg, you'd realize he's pretty harmless and like a pretty nice guy. So I do like this running bit. To your point, he's like, it doesn't even make sense if I called Ronnie a white whale. She has a lovely figure. And he like, as it's coming out of his mouth, he's like, oh,
nope,
I shouldn't
say that.
shouldn't be commenting on female students' figures.
But I think that's the problem,
great.
not the problem, but that's just like Greg or his generation or whatever it is. We know that he's not like that kind of guy. He's not like the Dean Riggs type,
right.
But he doesn't see it until he like says it out loud or is wearing it or like whatever. And again, played to comedy, but I think that is fair for a lot of people. Like they don't mean to offend, but they do and say things that can be perceived offensive. So you just got to be careful.
Sure. Which is funny because, and Riggs in this moment doesn't see it as like a faux pas from Greg. He sees Greg as a kindred spirit. So he's like, you and me constantly get in trouble with the young ladies. Am I right, my guy? Like, let's have a porch drink. And Greg clearly being uncomfortable. Like, let's not put you and I the same category. I thought was great.
Well, and he's done this plenty of times where his first inclination is to immediately agree with like somebody saying something to him. And he's like, wait, what should I? No, I don't agree to that. Like, he's done that quite a few times, and I like that writing. Like, he's trying to be agreeable, but he realizes, like, no, I probably shouldn't be agreeing to that.
Right. He's like, yeah, wait, what? Yeah, he does that a lot. And then the final thing I'll say about the disciplinary meeting is Archie tries to defend him, and you can tell, like, Archie's so proud of himself, and, like, hey, we're just trying to navigate, like, a challenging environment. I see where Greg's coming from. Like, he feels like Greg should, like, appreciate him being on his side, ultimately it leading to Greg being like, no, you're a terrible person and I hate you, like, don't defend me. I laughed out loud there. That was great.
Yeah, that was so good. I love the delivery by Carrell. Like, you knew it was coming and you knew exactly what Archie was trying to do. It was lovely.
The speed of this show and the comedy of this show, I just want to give it props. Like, if you don't have to take notes for a dumb podcast, it's great. But a lot happens in like the last 5 minutes that was so funny, and like we'll run through it. But I just want to point out, not since maybe like Arrested Development have I felt like, oh, I need subtitles and I need a second rewatch to catch things. And I'm sure if I rewatched it a third time, I would continue to catch things. But in this,
I feel like
go ahead.
Well, that's like Bill Lawrence, and I think it's just like some of his comedy. We certainly got it with Ted Lasso.
Sure.
And again, I know I've been telling you for a long time, but like you need to get on the Shrinking train because that show is the same kind of thing. Like it has jokes a mile a minute, and it is really, really good. And it does definitely remind me of this show.
Tom, here's why I'm not going to watch Shrinking. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not going to watch Shrinking because Shrinking is about people like going to therapists and like figuring out. I don't want to figure out anything more about myself than I already know. It's a dangerous.
You don't have to.
I feel like it might awaken something in me. You know, like the Dalmatian and Community with that Dean. I don't want to dive too deep like the dwarves in the Mines of Moria because then a Balrog shows up. You know what I'm talking about, Tom.
I get it. You're scared.
I am scared that Shrinking might make me feel things. But no, you're right. I should probably. I hear. There's a gentleman, a Mr. Ford, in it that I think he's in like an up and coming actor that's going to be big.
He's gonna make it.
One of the stars of Shrinking. Enough plugging Bill Lawrence shows. Let's move on to Dylan finding out that the free speech zone has been moved in front of her office, and she finds out this is all because I guess Dean Riggs has rigged this so that she gets annoyed. Intercut with this is Archie showing up with a bottle of. Tom, you're a big wine connoisseur. I know that you often
Sommelier,
open a bottle. Yes, and you once you open a bottle, it goes bad within 24 hours, so you have to finish it. I believe has always been your motto.
Exactly.
Finish the wine before it goes bad, Tom always says. But this whole bit with Riggs having a heart attack, Dylan shouting at him, Archie being there and having to, I guess, steal his wine back. All of this, I loved. I loved it. And I was completely surprised by it. I was like, oh, he's not actually going to have a health issue, much like Dylan did.
Well, it's starting with him just like, oh, I got a tickle in my throat. Can you give me some water?
Right.
And then she continues to yell. He continues to spiral. And then her response is she's still angry. She's like, don't you be sliding off that chair. And then he slides off the chair. She gets all like concerned, like, could water have helped the situation? Like afterwards, it was just brilliant. And then Archie at the very end coming back to take back his wine since he realizes Riggs can't have it is also peak Archie.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Yeah, this happened so quickly, and then we have the cut with Walt giving Dylan Riggs's job, and I loved his line where he's like, hey, it's been a rule since the gladiator times, if you kill a man, you get his job. That was so well delivered.
I loved it.
And to your point, her being like, hey, do you think a sip of water would have helped this? And Walt like cluing in on that as to, oh, you killed him, which is great. And then the hard cuts in this show really deliver to my funny bone because he says something like, Riggs is as strong as an ox. He'll be back before you know it. And then hard cut to him on a ventilator, which as I get older, I find hospital stuff less funny and more just sad. But I did enjoy this hard cut to him. I don't think he's going to be getting up soon. And now I have some questions about who Riggs's wife thinks Greg is, because we dive into that here in this moment where I guess Greg goes to go have the drink and instead he meets Riggs' wife leaving the house on the way to the hospital. And I was surprised by who Riggs' wife was. Yeah,
turns out to be Nancy Walls or Nancy Carrell, Steve Carell's wife in real life, which was great.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I wonder if we'll get more of her, or if this is just kind of a short little kind of cameo. But yeah, I don't get it either. Like, I don't know who she thinks she is, or maybe Riggs has just like no friends. So the fact that anybody is showing up at the house, she assumes there's some kind of closeness. But him like thinking like, oh yeah, me and V Riggs were really close.
And she's like, yes, Vincent really cherished your friendship. And he's like, yep, the man that I called Vincent. And she's like, do you want to hold his other hand? I didn't understand if this is like when someone's in grief, they just like cling to who they, or like she's just being polite, but she like makes him stay. He ends up feeling so guilty. He sleeps there. Yeah, I don't know. I did not understand who she thought she was. And I'm going to be excited about the reveal of, yeah, him and I were not that close. That's what I'm excited for. Yeah. And to your point, like, is Riggs going to come back, or do we just like lose Riggs from this point on? Because it's a weird stunt casting to bring. And I don't, Tom, I'm forgetting the actor's name. I know he's
Alan Ruck?
Yeah, thank you. Alan Ruck is like super famous, so it'd be weird to bring Alan Ruck in for 3 episodes and then put him in a hospital bed for real. But
yeah, especially in with Nancy Walls. Like maybe Nancy Walls Carell here. Maybe she's a realtor, and she's going to kind of bring back her job from the office.
And Gerg is going to Photoshop himself into some of her family photos. He's going to put his face over Vincent's face in their family photos. So then we have Dylan, who, once again, I can't tell you how much I love this character. Dylan, who's now Dean Shepard, has to deal with learning how to tell people no. There's this quick cut of, I think, a philosophy professor coming in, and he's like, hey, I've got a crisis. You know, I want to use my philosophy stuff for good, or I can use it for bad, as he's like being shut. It's like a weird threat from a philosophy professor. I loved all of that. All of
he's like he's like a superhero, like whether he's going to become a hero or a villain. Yeah, like he has all this power.
This is his origin story. Yeah, him getting shoved out the door. And we get a lot more of Crystal, which I appreciate. Crystal, just her weirdness towards Greg, or at least her attraction towards Greg, as well as how she handles Walt and now Dean Shepard. I appreciate all of this. Yeah. This leads to, as that professor's being shoved out, Katie shows up, and I appreciate the dynamic of like Dylan and Crystal being like, hey, we have to say no unless the person's like desperate or dangerous, and they immediately recognize like Katie needs help. And there's this moment,
desperate and dangerous.
Right. They're like, are you going to strike again? And Katie like looks off into the distance like, oh, that time I was going to strike was like a wonderful time in my life. So I don't know. I appreciated all of this. Leading to Katie talking with Dylan and describing how she like went and peered in on his class and she is concerned that she's spiraling, but Archie is not. And once again, I like what they're doing with the Katie character. I want what's best for her. I don't think Archie is what's best for her, but I guess we'll find out in the end.
Yeah. But I like from Dylan's perspective, like she's saying she's going to try to help her lift her suspension because, Katie obviously is spiraling a bit here. But I love Katie's comment about, like, I'm still thinking about him, and assumes that Archie is, moved on or he's all good. But then we cut directly to the next scene, and it's Archie looking at old pictures of them. So, like, obviously they're both struggling, even though Katie might feel alone in this. She's not.
Sure, but are we putting it past Archie that those are pictures of someone else with Katie, and Archie's just photoshopped his face on there again? Just
Never
like
know.
Steve Carrell as Michael Scott with Nancy Wall in The Office. Man, let's dig a little deeper on this joke.
It's all connected.
I appreciate that he's like, we've established that Roscoe the dog exists, so when Sunny shows up and she's like, what pictures are you looking at? Archie does what we all do when someone asks us what pictures we're looking at on our laptop. We're like, oh, just our dead dog, or I guess maybe Roscoe's still alive. I don't know.
Yeah, when I usually look at pictures of my dog, I do it in incognito mode too, so
no one knows what you're doing.
Exactly.
Tom, I want you to know they're still tracking you. They're still tracking you. Look at your dog on, I guess, Chrome.
It gives me peace of mind,
Sure.
Yeah.
That's most things in this life. They're not real. They just give you peace of mind. So the big government can watch your dog. Okay, so with this Archie conversation with Sunny, she still needs an advisor. And I love this moment, and it's maybe terrible because of how the world works, but she's like, I need to get an advisor now before I start like showing as pregnant, because they're going to be less likely to take me on in the biotech industry as a pregnant woman. And Archie does that thing that men are probably all prone to doing, which is terrible, of just being like, hey, that's not a real fear. They can't discriminate you about being pregnant. And her reply is so great. She's like, great, I'll make 1,000 citizens arrests. You know what? Sunny is funny. In this episode, she doesn't tell us she's funny. She shows us she's funny. And I appreciated that quite a bit.
I agreed. I like that much.
Greg wakes up in the hospital, realizes he's late for class. He's apparently wearing better shoes because he's able to jog his way all the way to class without incident. Talking to his small group of students, we find out, or maybe we knew this, he did not go to college, but he's written 11 bestsellers, all of these beach reads. And then he gets into this conversation with these students because he's uncomfortable as a teacher of like, hey, let's just start at, why do you want to write? Like, what do you like to do? Is it to tell stories? And I can't say enough that I love Spooner. Spooner's like, I got you, Gerg. I love this character. I hope we spend more time with him. And then we get to the crux of it, which is I wrote Rooster because Rooster is doing things that I always wished I could do. I wrote to be someone who I wasn't, which is like a little bit more adventurous and a little bit more outgoing. And so, I think we realize that's kind of what the premise of this is, but it's fun to see him interact with these students, and these students share a little bit because initially they're very tight-lipped, which was comedic.
Yeah, it's fun to see him open up and again, like, throw out the syllabus that he created, because he comes into the room, he's like, okay, what are we supposed to be doing at this minute?
Right.
Discussing a recent conversation.
Yeah.
What was before that? Having a conversation about that. Like, it was just hilarious. So he's like, okay, we'll just have a conversation, which he should have had in the first place, especially as this type of professor. Just open up to the kids and you'll get more out of them, I'd imagine.
Sure.
But yeah, we're going to get probably this Rooster turn that's kind of coming up. It makes a lot of sense. And the kids definitely seemed, I keep calling them kids, like these college guys and women are opening up to him because he's opening up to them. And it makes sense.
Sure. And I guess I was wrong about the shoes, because they come back, he slips, and he grabs a hold of the nearest object he can grab a hold of, which we then get a quick cut to the disciplinary board because he grabbed one of the female students.
I loved the quick cut to the disciplinary board was hilarious, but I felt like this tropish thing of like falling on a woman and grabbing her breast was a little bit silly.
Sure.
But I loved the cut of it immediately going back to the board.
Sure. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was funny. Obviously inappropriate, but very funny. This all leads to and now Dylan is running the disciplinary boards. So I do appreciate her being like, what do we do here? All right, you've been warned, moving on. We cut to finally Archie making introduction to Sunny and Walt being her advisor. I thought this was a little bit of a flimsy reasoning. He's like, she likes fitness, you like fitness, we're both in the gym. She's like, I make my own protein shakes. He's like, oh, that's delicious. I don't know.
What if he tastes that shake and doesn't like it? Does he not take her on?
Yeah, he throws it and he goes, this is garbage and it's warm. That's
your first lesson.
Yeah. But there is a bit here where Walt says to Archie, just randomly, he's like, is there anything problematic in your life that you still hold a candle for? Like, is there anything that's been canceled that you still love? And he brings up Roald Dahl, the children's author, I guess, had some pretty bad takes in terms of the anti-Semitic type. But I was going to ask you the same question, Tom, but I don't know. We don't have to go into it.
Does Tom Cruise count? I feel like he's kind of a wacko Scientologist dude, but I do love the man's work.
No, you got to go deeper than that. He's not problematic. He's still beloved. A problematic take would be like, oh, I really love an actor and I won't name him, but he led the Scottish to independence thousands of years ago, and his weapons are always lethal. That would be a problematic take that you love that actor. Which neither of us have that take, so it's okay. So let's just move on.
Well, aren't you a really big fan of Hitler's paintings?
No, sir. No.
He did some bad stuff, but his paintings, I thought you liked them.
That's terrible. No. I never, as a sketchist, maybe, but as a painter, no. Terrible, Tom. That was a bad joke, and I will edit it out of this episode, probably. If I remember.
Apologies.
All right, so let's go to a non-offensive hockey game where Greg's not wearing an offensive jersey that he then turns around and makes more offensive.
When he comes into the scene, was that my first reaction was like, ooh, that jersey doesn't seem like he should be wearing that. And when they finally got to Dylan kind of calling him out on it, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that makes sense because it didn't seem cultural.
I don't know. As someone who grew up with the Braves and the now Washington Commanders, I honestly didn't note it. But as soon as she started asking questions, I was like, oh, yeah, you're going to get in trouble, Greg. All of this, they're watching the hockey game, which Katie was supposed to join him for, and she does not. And we find out that Dylan is at the hockey game because she has to reprimand the new hockey coach, of whose dead, past hockey coach Greg is living in that house. And so all of this is being tied in a nice little bow that this drunken hockey coach is going to get fired and Greg's going to take his job, right?
Is he drunk, though? I feel like he's just buzzed. He's just having a good time.
Yeah. His language is a lot more tame than anything they say in Shoresy. So that was the most unrealistic bit of this episode, is how clean the hockey coach's language was. I thought this was funny. This all leads to Greg complaining to Dylan, and he's like, I'm not enjoying it here. He's like, college is supposed to be the best time of your life. I just want to go home. And she's like, you sound like a college freshman, which he does. He is a grown-up. He should just deal with it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. At the end of the scene, Greg's like, you're being mean. And I'm like, well, is she? Or is she just kind of calling it like it is? And maybe she could have gone at it with a little bit more tact, but I don't think she's being mean or vindictive or anything in the situation. She's just kind of saying, listen, man, nothing's keeping you here. You're saying you're here because of your daughter or whatever else. But yeah, I didn't love the way he kind of called her out as being mean, because I didn't think she was in this instant.
I think the thing he's saying is mean is she goes, you're 60, man. And he's like, 57, you're mean. I think it's because she calls him much older. Well, 3 years, but I think it's because she calls him much older than he is. But I did think it's funny that the solution of this is, or at least his problem that he leads to, is I've got too much time on my hands. while they're staring at a drunk hockey coach that's going to get fired, while he talked about coaching youth sports, while he was watching hockey and played minor league hockey. They're like, all right, if he doesn't become the hockey coach in this show, I will be furious. I will lose my absolute mind.
I'll be honest. I didn't read much into it. Like, I didn't put the whole like coaching thing previous the conversation he had with Katie earlier on. But yeah, there's just no way in heck that they're not going to make him a coach. But I mean, is he going to do coach and teaching?
Yeah.
Is he going to eventually just become? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think their schedule is. I don't think their travel hockey schedule is that busy that he can't do both. Dude, if this turned into a sports show, I would be absolutely stoked. That would be great.
They're going to rename their team the Roosters.
Yeah. They renamed it. That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. I just want to end this episode, Tom, by saying I find this show delightful. I'm glad we get to laugh about it. I'm watching it with my spouse. She finds it funny. It's quick. There's a lot of wit there. I wish more people would watch it. Maybe once all the whole season comes out, people will binge it and it'll become one of those sitcoms that people binge. But I do very much appreciate it. I don't know that it fits in the HBO slate, but I'm not the head of HBO. The head of HBO is soon to be probably the president. I don't know how that all works. Someone's getting bought anymore. And everything's
buying everything. I'm with you though. I've had a really good time with this show. It's a fun show to pod on. Like we've done some of these comedies, but like more recently, some of the things we podcasted on are more like murder mysteries, or there's kind of something more grand to try to solve, like in Severance or The Last of Us or whatever else. Like this is like a different genre, and I love the shorter time span of it, only 30 minutes, and like the quick hitting jokes. It's been a lot of fun. And like being active on social media has been fun too, because Bill Lawrence is like wildly active on social media, and he's interacted with us and like mentioned our pod. It's really cool, and he's again, kudos to Bill for everything that he's doing to help promote this show, since HBO is probably not doing the best job of it.
Sure. But it is a delightful show. For those of you that are listening, by all means, reach out to us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from people, especially the Lasso crew and those that have watched the comedies with us. If we missed something, if we got something dead wrong, just put in the subject line to Tom's attention, because I don't take critique well. If you would, please rate and review us. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff helps. And Tom, what did I miss?
Yeah, socials at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. Again, if Bill Lawrence is reaching out to Team Binge and engaging in our social media, why aren't you? So get on it.
Oh, I think he's going to ignore us now. All right, Tom, for Team Binge, I have been Julian, a coodle-doodle-doo.
Julian, a cock-a-doodle-doo. I'm a Tom. Till next week, everybody.
Brutal.